Hi guys, it's morning where I live, so good morning. I wanted to go ahead and take some time to do some fall foods. I'm going to concentrate on squashes today because a lot of people don't know what to do with like a spaghetti squash or a butternut squash, and they're absolutely delicious and amazing. So I thought that I would go ahead and do a video about it. But first, I have to give mad props to my new apron. I had a friend of mine. For those of you that don't know, I'm completely addicted to Wonder Woman, have been since I was 8 years old, so no, this is not a movie thing. It's not a new thing. My collection is quite large. So I had a very good friend of mine who is an amazingly talented seamstress actually find vintage Wonder Woman material and make me a beautiful apron. So I just want to take a minute to model my new apron. Got a little bow in the back. It's super cute. So this is going to be my YouTube attire for when I cook for you all. So I just love it. I think it's so stinking cute. But anyway, let's go ahead and start the food. Enough about me. So a couple of different squashes. One of them that I'm going to be doing is a butternut. The other one I'm going to do is a spaghetti squash. So I'm going to bring the camera down so you guys can kind of see a little bit more at counter level what I do. And then I will back up in a second. You can tell I don't have a crew or anything. It's just me. So anyway, over here, we have a butternut squash. This is what they look like on the inside, outside. And then the spaghetti squash, half of one, inside, outside. So what I do with my squashes is I like to have them, that vantage point was all wrong. I am more of a sweet and savory mixture kind of girl. It's just what I like. So it depends upon how you want to prepare them, but how you actually get ready to prepare them is the same no matter what kind of spice you want to add or what kind of outcome you want. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the spaghetti squash. Pinterest has made people believe that a spaghetti squash can take the place of pasta. Not true. No, it's not pasta. Don't even bother. But it is delicious in its own right. I'm finally going to get the camera right, I think. So what you do with the spaghetti squash, so I can show you. So the insides, okay? You go ahead and you just scrape it all out. And I'm sure that everybody has their own way of doing it. And I'm sure that there's lots of information out there on how you can do it. And this is just my way. So I'm going to go ahead and take out all the seeds, scrape out the middle part. And it's mainly just the seeds that I want gone. You want to keep as much of the flesh as possible in the squash. So like you'll have some like little stringy bits left over. That's fine. Don't even worry about that. So I scrape out the middle part of it. And then what I do, and I didn't have this ready, is I just take a piece of aluminum foil. I don't do anything to the squash itself. I literally just wrap it up inside a piece of aluminum foil so that it's all covered. And then I put it in the oven and I do it at 375. And I do it for, I would probably say about 45 minutes. So that basically when it comes out, it's nice and soft. Now I was prepared for this. Earlier I did the other half. I'm getting used to this whole YouTube thing. And when it comes out baked, it comes out like this, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and let that cool for just a little bit when I show you what to do with the butternut squash. So with the butternut squash, what I do is I do the same thing where I basically take out the seeds. So just with a spoon, I just scrape the part basically that has the seeds to it. Nothing special, nothing exciting. But I take it all out so that the inside pretty much is just all clean and it's just the flesh of the squash. So it looks like that, okay? Now, I'm going to show you what I do with that squash in a minute, but I'm also going to show you the thing about gardening. A lot of people make it really complicated. They get starter plants and things like that. The fact of the matter is, these little guys right here is next year's garden. Okay, so I not only, I recycle a lot of foods to where if there's any seeds that come out, what I do is I dry them. So you're gonna put them in a colander and you're gonna strain them so that basically you're bringing out all of the seeds. Then what you're gonna do is put them on a paper towel just like this, let them dry on your countertop, okay? Once they're dry, they look like this. And I literally throw them in my garden soil. So keep in mind that gardening doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to go and spend $200 on starter plants. If you just basically kind of prepare seasonally with the foods that you're making, you might be surprised at how much you can basically recycle and replant and then regrow. The main thing is I wouldn't recommend getting like a spaghetti squash from the grocery store that isn't organic or anything like that, because those are grown completely differently. The seeds are they're altered. There's no other way to put it because of the pesticides and everything like that. So those won't really grow as well. But if you go to a quality store where you get organic, or like in this particular case, this came from somebody else's garden. So I have friends that basically we all share food. And so this spaghetti squash came from her garden. I went ahead and shared the seeds not only with her, but I also shared it with my sister and a good friend of mine. And so there's plenty to go around. So just start with a really good quality seed first and you'll have a little bit more success. Okay, so once I am done with that, what I do with the butternut squash, and again, this is just how I prepare it. I like it roasted, and how I roast it and eat it is both, I'll eat it both warm and cold, okay? So I just basically do it into little pieces like this, and then I literally either use a paring knife and or a potato peeler, excuse me, if the rind's not super thick, and I basically just take the skin off. Once I take the skin completely off, then I literally just dice it into pieces like this. And then I just throw it in a pan with some olive oil and some garlic and some seasoning, and then basically I roast it up in the pan. So when it's all done, it looks like that. And it's a little sweet, and then I do garlic and seasoning and things like that so that it creates a little bit of a savory sweet combination, which is how I prefer it. I'll eat it cold in a salad. Tonight I'm gonna have it just on the side of chicken. So once it's done, basically it'll keep for a little bit and you can kind of use it in a variety of ways with a number of meals. So now I'm gonna show you the whole spaghetti squash thing. So I'm going to take the butternut squash out because I'm actually going to use the same pan because I use the same flavors. And so I'm going to go ahead and just set those aside and get the pan ready. And what I do is I grab a fork, I grab the spaghetti squash, and I'm going to show you up close because this is kind of cool what happens, okay? My daughter used to love this when she was little. If you take the fork and you just kind of scrape, okay, see how everything comes out in that kind of a texture? So what happens is you literally scrape the insides completely out. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm all done. And it will, since you've already cooked it, the entire shell will completely hollow out. I'll show you in a second. And then basically, because what you're doing is you're taking the entire flesh of the squash out, and you're just leaving kind of like the hull of it, kind of like if you were dealing with an ear of corn. And then all what's inside becomes your dinner. So when you're all done, see, nothing left. And it kind of comes out, and it's the consistency of like a spaghetti. So as I mentioned before, I am not one of those pasta replacement kind of girls. The squash is amazing, and I do love it, but I will eat it by itself. Sorry, I'm getting stuff everywhere. So then what I'm gonna go ahead and do, swear, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and just take some olive oil, and I'm just gonna drizzle it on here. I'm gonna add some salt and pepper, and then I'm gonna saute it. Nothing special. And then at the end of it, basically, once I heat it up, it will be my side dish tonight. So squashes look weird at the store, but most of them can be prepared in the same manner. Acorn squashes can. A roasted pumpkin is amazing and it's delicious. And right now, where I live, because it's fall time, pumpkins it's a plethora. So it's also very affordable. You can also take like the butternut squash, I could easily, since I've already sauteed it and everything like that, I can add in a little bit of either vegetable stock if I want to go vegetarian, or I can add in chicken stock if I basically want to add a little bit of a different flavor to it. I can put it in my blender, I can grind it down, and then basically I have butternut squash soup. So there's a ton of things that you can do with it, and it's so good, and it's really, it's always important to eat seasonally. As I said, eat dirty, eat what's in season, eat what's around you. So these squashes have a lot of vitamins and nutrients and things like that that your body needs this time of the year. So have some fun. Even if you've never tried them before, just experiment. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? So, but most of them can be used in this exact same manner. When people think squash, they either think zucchini or crookneck. But there are so many wonderful varieties out there, and it's it's a lot of comfort food right now. And what I do is when I'm making these squashes and I'm baking them in the oven, I'll throw in a couple of sweet potatoes because that way I'll have them for later in the week. You know, I'll bake up 4 chicken breasts so that basically it's like I have everything all in the oven at the same time. So it just makes life easier too. And so, I mean, it's easy, it's delicious, and very affordable this time of year. So there's no reason not to. So squash it. Haha, just kidding. Anyway, have a great day. Bye.